Hello, happy Monday. Did you guys go to school today? I went to work today. We're back in Louisiana to phase 2. So I'll only be going into the office 2 days a week and then working from home the rest of that time, wearing our mask, washing our hands, socially distancing 6 feet apart. Um, so I'm just wondering how it's going for you guys. I know some of you are coming to the end of the semester. I know that because at the state we are thinking about the end of the semester and thinking, hello, Kristen Royster. You're a new name to me. Do I know you as another name? So Louisiana is, I think most of the schools are thinking about, maybe, I don't know, thinking about going back to virtual school. What are you thinking about that? Crescent Ruby, you saw my message in Discord, so you popped on over. Do you? I never see your comments. I'm so sorry. I really try. Hey, Fareed. I hate being ignored, so I really try not to ignore anybody, Kristen. Thanks for your persistence. Have you been reading Pride and Prejudice or reading something else? It is cool in Louisiana. I'm in my winter clothes, which this outfit I get to wear maybe twice a year because it just doesn't get that cold here. I have not turned my heater on in my house because I try to be energy conversant. No, not conversant. Conservant. Energy conservationist. I don't know. You're not going back to school for both semesters. Oh, you're doing virtual school the whole time, Kristen. How do you feel about that? Anyway, I don't turn my heater on, so I wear lots of layers and bundle up, and I'm knitting my new knitting needles came in, so I'm knitting my scarf because I love scarves. Those of you that have been watching me for a long time would have seen back when I was teaching in the classroom. The time in Louisiana is 4:46. I wear scarves. I wear dangly earrings and scarves. Do you see I've got Christmas ornaments starting to... I put my snowmen out as though we have snow in Louisiana. And my fun little snowmen are here decorating. That's my backdrop, so you know the seasons have changed. They're reading along. Alpha Beef. What is that name? Thank you for loving my videos. I'm really so glad. I was thinking about that today. I got a nice message from a reader that said, they've been reading with me for several years, and they're really glad when I've got a book that they're doing for class, especially now with COVID. And when I did it, I started this 4 years ago, maybe. It was just to get my students to do their homework. And it's really been great to know that even though I'm not in the classroom anymore, that I'm still helping students learn. And that makes me really happy. Canada, yeah, I know that it was the time difference. I mean, I didn't know what part of Canada you're in, but I knew that we weren't on the same time. In Brazil, they're a big difference now. Same here in Florida, yeah. Well, it is getting late. That's why I decided I better hop on and read. All right, so Pride and Prejudice. I'm getting excited about where the book is going. What about y'all? Chapter 38. If these Roman numerals get much bigger, I'm not going to be able to figure them out because I'm terrible at Roman numerals. Page 202. Let's read. I'm so glad you guys joined me. I'm a little sad. I don't have a real reason, Toronto. I have a stuffed bunny named Toronto because we got it in Toronto. My granddaughter found it the other day. It was at my mom's house over Thanksgiving. She found it. Like, oh, you found Toronto. And she loves Toronto. And I love Toronto. So not the bunny, the city. One day I hope to get there again. Are you ever just sad and you don't know why you're just sad? I'm just sad. I'm just going to own it. I'm just sad. Come in here and chatting with y'all, make it better. Sometimes being alone is a good thing. Sometimes you don't need to just sit around feeling sad. You need to do something and hopefully change your mood. All right, let me start again. Page 202. Let's read. On Saturday morning, Elizabeth and Mr. Collins met for breakfast a few minutes before the others appeared, and he took the opportunity of paying the parting civilities which he deemed indispensably necessary. I know not, Miss Elizabeth, said he, whether Mrs. Collins has yet expressed her sense of your kindness in coming to us, but I am very certain you will not leave the house without receiving her thanks for it. The favor of your company has been much felt, I assure you. We know how little there is to tempt any one to our humble abode, our humble house. Our plain manner of living, our small rooms and few domestics, and the little we see of the world must make Hunsford extremely dull to a young lady like yourself. But I hope you will believe us grateful for the condescension, and that we have done everything in our power to prevent your spending your time unpleasantly. Elizabeth was eager with her thanks and assurances of happiness. She had spent 6 weeks with great enjoyment, and the pleasure of being with Charlotte and the kind attention she had received must make her feel the obliged. Mr. Collins was gratified, and with a more smiling solemnity replied, "It gives me the greatest pleasure to hear that you have passed your time not disagreeably. We have certainly done our best, and most fortunately, having it in our power to introduce you to very superior society, and from our connection with Rosings, the frequent means of varying the humble home scene. I think we may flatter ourselves that your Hunsford visit cannot have been entirely irksome. Our situation with regard to Captain, I just have to say, have you guys known people like Mr. Collins? Like, they're always putting themselves down to make themselves look better. Oh, I know I'm nobody, but look at the friends I have. Aren't you lucky you know me so you got to meet these important people? It's just like, shut up. He annoys me. Mr. Collins just annoys me. Does he annoy you? Do people like that make you crazy? Just be yourself. Just be like, I am what I am, and I'm glad you're here. Right? Ruby, you feel like that about Mr. Collins too. He's so annoying. Um, and again, when you connect, like think about somebody in real life that is like that, and then that just makes that character come that much more alive for you. I find it to be typically more of a feminine characteristic where women, oh, I know I look terrible in this outfit. Oh, my hair is just a mess. I know it. I mean, you are just don't know that I've worked and worked and worked so hard, but I just couldn't get my hair to look right today. And then, they're wanting that compliment. They're wanting you to say, no, it was great. You're wonderful. The fact that you know these amazing people, that your hair looks like whatever it is, they're digging or fishing, we say, for compliments. And it's annoying. Make those connections and stories and make stories more memorable. So then when the teacher gives you a quote, and you have to identify the speaker of the quote, when you really know the character, you recognize their voice when you hear that quote. Does that make sense? Lady Catherine's great attentions to Mrs. Collins you have been a daily witness of, and altogether I trust it does not appear that your friend has drawn an unfortunate, but on this point it will be as well to be silent. Only let me assure you, my dear Miss Elizabeth, that I can from my heart most cordially wish you equal felicity in marriage. My dear Charlotte and I have but one mind and one way of thinking. There is in everything a most remarkable resemblance of character and ideas between us. He's talking about how happily married they are. We seem to have been designed for each other. So he's making sure that she knows that Charlotte's happily married to him. Remember, because she said no to him. Fareed, just fate. Yeah, definitely. Irene, it's good to see you again. I'm not caught up, so I don't want to spoil anything, but I just wanted to come by to say hi. I'm so glad, Irene. I'm glad you're here. Elizabeth could safely say that it was a great happiness where that was the case, and with equal sincerity could add that she firmly believed and rejoiced in his domestic comforts. She was not sorry, however, to have the recital of them interrupted by the entrance of the lady from whom they sprung. Poor Charlotte! It was melancholy to leave her to such society, but she had chosen it with her eyes open, and though evidently regretting that her visitors were to go, she did not seem to ask for compassion. Her home and her housekeeping, her parish and her poultry, and all the dependent concerns had not yet lost their charms. At length the chaise arrived, the trunks were fastened on, the parcels placed within, and it was pronounced to be ready. After an affectionate parting between the friends, Elizabeth was attended to the carriage by Mr. Collins. Notice how I stop. Oh, teaser. Tease. No problem, Fred. I understand it. Um, he is. He's trying to make her see what she missed out on. If you see me sometimes stop and struggle over a sentence, we've talked about this before. It wasn't worded the way I expected it to be worded. And so we get tangled in our own minds sometimes. Sometimes it's good to stop and reread it. Sometimes some of us don't read in our minds well. We do better to read out loud. I think that's why this has been so helpful to so many, that they get to hear it. But if you're a really fast reader, you don't get tangled in your head like that. You pick up the words. But when you're trying to articulate it, you kind of get lost in the words sometimes. So Elizabeth was attended to the carriage by Mr. Collins. I had to think what that meant. Like he saw her. He helped her into the carriage. And his compliments to Mr. and Mrs. Gardner, though unknown. That's the aunt and uncle. He then handed her in. Maria followed, and the door was on the point of being closed when he suddenly reminded them with some consternation that they had hitherto forgotten to leave any message for the ladies of Rosings. But, he added, you will of course wish to have your humble respects delivered to them, with your grateful thanks for their kindness to you while you have been here. Elizabeth made no objection. The door was then allowed to be shut, and the carriage drove off. Good gracious, cried Maria after a few minutes' silence. It seems but a day or two since we first came, and yet how many things have happened. A great many indeed, said her companion with a sigh. We have dined 9 times at Rosings, besides drinking tea there twice. How much I shall have to tell. Elizabeth privately added, and how much I shall have to conceal. Tragedies in Louisiana. It's cold today, isn't it? It's supposed to get like in the 20s today, Fahrenheit. What part of Louisiana are you in? I'm in Baton Rouge. I'm in the South, deep South for the rest of the world. Maryland. Hi, Riley. Have you been here before? Haven't you, Riley? Maryland. Might snow in Georgia. That sounds like a Southern song. Might snow in Georgia tonight, but your memories are out of my sight. The flakes fall calmly as my heart beats fondly of the time we were in Georgia tonight. Sorry, I'm in a mood today. When I'm sad, I tend to sing crazy things. Back to reading. No unkind comments, please. You'll just get a peek into my crazy ADD mind. I honestly don't know who Maria is. Yes, Kristen, I just made it up. Binging Lord of the Flies. Hate that book. It's very distressing to me. Well, Kristen, you're very kind. Y'all are being that. Now I'm like Mr. Collins. Oh, I can't sing at all. Tell me how good I sing. Tell me how much you liked it. Now, Crescent had Ruby. Oh, there. I didn't see Sam come on. Hi, Sam. A lot of you guys are from Discord. And I'm starting to recognize you from that. But when you have different names, when you go from here to there and they're different names, sometimes I get lost of who's whose. But if anybody remembers, Fareed, I just read what you wrote. If any of you guys remember who Maria is, help me out, because I can't. I know they've been talking about the 2 girls were going to go back. It looks like my ring has turned my finger a funny color, but it's my mother's wedding ring, and it's real gold, so I don't know why it would be turning me colors. Do you see? It looks brown. Maybe I bruised it. I don't know. This is a super short chapter, and I'm just not into it. So Maria, somebody tell me who Maria is. All right, we'll start a new channel of me singing. Oh my gosh. Good gracious, cried Maria after a few minutes silence. It seems but a day or 2 since we first came. And how much she has to keep to herself. Their journey was performed without much conversation or any alarm, and within 4 hours of their leaving Hunsford, they reached Mr. Gardner's house, where they were to remain a few days. Jane looked well, and Elizabeth had little opportunity of studying her spirits amidst the various engagements which the kindness of her aunt had reserved for them. But Jane was to go home with her, and at Longbourn there would be leisure enough for observation. It was not without an effort, meanwhile, that she could wait even for Longbourn before she told her sister of Mr. Darcy's proposal. To know that she had the power of revealing what would so exceedingly astonish Jane, and must at the same time so highly gratify whatever of her own vanity she had not yet been able to reason away, was such a temptation to openness as nothing could have conquered. But the state of indecision in which she remained as to the extent of what she should communicate, and her fear, if she once entered on the subject, of being hurried into repeating something of it Bingley, which might only grieve her sister further. She wants to tell the story about Darcy, but if she does, then Bingley might come up, and then she'd have to tell the truth, and that would hurt her sister's feelings. Yeah. All right, that is 39. Should we keep reading? We're only 15 minutes in, I guess, so I kind of don't want to pay attention to reading. I'll be honest with you. I am cold and I get shivery. Maybe I should put my blanket over me because my porch, my screened porch, is cold. Isn't that a very nice? Tomato. Oh, Riley, I thought you said there were tomatoes in your area. Tornadoes in my area right now. Oh, well, do you need to get into a protected, covered area? You know, like in the bathtub, away from windows? That's what we do in Louisiana when the tornadoes are right there on us. Oh, Kristen, I don't know. You should get my children on and see what it was like to have me as the mother teaching in their schools. They usually were at the same school I taught at. They had to live with that. Imagine. It's real fun to see the YouTube lady, but imagine that's your mom in school, because this is how I teach. I mean, those of you that have seen my other, where there's classes with kids, this is how I teach, because this is how I learn, because my brain is like this. Deck cards. Where do you guys get these names, honestly? I hate reading, and listening to your reads is way easier. Oh, deck cards. I'm so glad. I think what I'm trying to teach you guys is you can't just sit down and power through. You've got to engage with the book. You've got, like, you see, I'm not really wanting to read today, and I'm all ADD all over the place, and so many of my students were ADD. You've got to do things to trick your brain into wanting to read. Ruby, who are you wishing me the best? Or, oh, Riley, yeah, we're wishing you the best. It's a watch. Okay. I mean, Louisiana, we get them all the time. I'm used to them. So, all right, I've given myself a little break. I read for 15 minutes. And honestly, when you guys are reading on your own, that's probably about as long as you can stay focused. Another trick you can try, you can't listen to music with lyrics, but if you can stand classical, like piano music or orchestra music, I always put that on in the background and try and read. And there is evidence that says classical music helps the brain engage more. So see if that would help you when you're trying to read. I want you to stay with me and read with me, but if I'm not reading a book you want read. All right. I need a little fire here. It was the second week in May in which the three young ladies set out together from Grace Church Street for the town of Blank in Hertfordshire. And as they drew near the appointed inn where Mr. Bennet's carriage was to meet them, they quickly perceived, in token of the coachman's punctuality, both Kitty and Lydia, the sisters, looking out of dining room upstairs. These two girls had been above an hour in the place, happily employed in visiting an opposite milliner, hatmaker. But even classical music, Furry, without words, just the music. That's what I can't do it if there's words in it. I tend to sing along. I can if it's Arabic music. Watching the sentinel on guard and dressing a salad and cucumber. Now that is a funny picture in my mind. Instead of preparing the salad and cucumber, it's like dressing. So I see this cucumber that you put a lettuce dress on and has a little hat on. I just sometimes see crazy things in my brain. After welcoming their sisters, they triumphantly displayed a table set out with such cold meat as an inn larder usually affords, like a pantry, exclaiming, "Is not this nice? Is not this an agreeable surprise? And we mean to treat you all," added Lydia, "but you must lend us some money, for we have just spent hours at the shop out there." Then showing her purchases, "Look here, I've bought this bonnet, but I do not think it's very pretty, but I thought I might as well buy it as not. She's so flighty. I shall pull it to pieces as soon as I get home and see if I can make it up any better." Farid, I do listen to Arabic. I like Tamer Hosni, and I like I Ali Habibi. What is her name? I Ali Habibi. I don't know. You're not going to know it from that. And Nancy Ashram. I like a lot of Arabic. Don't love George Yusuf, but I know everybody does. He's just not my favorite. Elisa, I Ali Habibi. Oedipus the King soon. Thank you so much. Hey, Kayla. The problem is there's so many different translations of that I wouldn't necessarily. That's why I haven't done Odyssey or Iliad, because everybody reads different translations. Elisa, it is Elisa, yeah. She's old school. You probably are too young to know her, Farid. But I think there's some really good versions out there of Oedipus the King. Good story. I really like that story. So the sisters have shown up and they've already spent all their money and they're as silly as ever. I'll have to look that one up. Farid, put a link in for me. I love to find new singers. I like it. I like the dance kind. I like the romantic one too. That's what I study too. But the dance, you just have to move when you start. You just start going when you. You just have to listen to Arabic music and get happy for the wedding. Y'all have me so distracted today. Are they indeed? Cried Elizabeth with the greatest satisfaction. They're going to be in camp near Brighton, and I do so want Papa to take us there for the summer. It would be such a delicious scheme, and I dare say would hardly cost anything at all. Mama would like to go of all things. Only think what a miserable summer else we shall have. Yes, thought Elizabeth, that would be a delightful scheme indeed, and completely due for us at once. Good heaven, Brighton. Brighton is a seashore place in England. I've actually been to Brighton, Brighton by the sea, and a whole camp full of soldiers to us who have been overset already by one poor regiment of militia and the monthly balls of Meryton. Now I've got some news for you, said Lydia, as they sat down to the table. What do you think? It is excellent news, capital news, and about a certain person that we all like. Jane and Elizabeth looked at each other, and the waiter was told that he need not stay. Lydia laughed and said, that is just like your formality and discretion. You thought the waiter must not hear, as if he cared. I dare say he often hears worse things said than I'm going to say, but he is an ugly fellow. I'm glad he's gone. I never saw such a long chin in my life. Well, but now for my news. It is about dear Wickham. Too good for the waiter, is it not? There is no danger of Wickham's marrying Mary King. There's for you. She's gone down to her uncle at Liverpool, gone to stay. Wickham is safe. Melissa Dubrow. Hi, I'm currently reading In the Time of the Butterflies, and your read-along videos are really helpful. Oh, Melissa, I'm so sorry. I did not love that book. I just watched a video and I'm about to watch another one now. Thank you for helping me. I'm so glad it helps you because that was a long book. Are you in Louisiana? Because we read it here in Louisiana. The Crucible last year. That one I think is easier and one of my favorite plays. I'm doing well. Thank you, Melissa. I'm very thankful over the Thanksgiving holiday. I realize I have so much to be thankful for. A Princess for Christmas by Jenny Holiday. Never heard of it, Erin. What's it about? I probably won't get to it because Animal Farm is next. And there is such a long list. I still have to do Tale of Two Cities. I still have so many I still need to do. But you guys keep sending them in and we're going to get other readers to start picking up this way. And so there will be lots of read-alongs out there for you guys to choose from. Kristen, I used to be a high school teacher and I have taught online university level. But in December, almost a year now, I left teaching, retired. I thought I had done my duty. Probably high schoolers would be tired of this crazy old lady. And I work for the Department of Education here in Louisiana, passing on all of my information about teaching to other teachers. So don't teach virtual classes, but I love to teach. So I'm a big goober about teaching. My hands are so cold. I need mittens. I need to knit some mittens. So what do you think Lydia's news is all about? Why is Wickham safe from Mary King? And Mary King is safe, added Elizabeth, safe from a connection imprudent as to fortune. She's a great fool for going away if she liked him. But I hope there is no strong attachment on either side, said Jane. I'm sure there is not on his. Elizabeth's being really catty at this point. I will answer for she's changed. Do you see how she's changed? She was all pro Wickham, and now she's like, oh, I found out who he really is. I will answer for it. He never cared 3 straws about her. Who could about such a nasty little freckled thing? Elizabeth was shocked to think that, however incapable of such coarseness of expression herself, coarseness of the sentiment was little other than her own breast, and had formerly harbored and fancied liberal. As soon as all had ate and the elder ones paid, the carriage was ordered. Now, the conjugation on that is off to me. As soon as all had eaten, shouldn't it be? Farid, this song, Farouz, it's kind of make you dance. Okay, I have to listen. As soon as all had ate and the elder ones paid, the carriage was ordered, and after some contrivance effort, the whole party, with all their boxes, work bags, and parcels, and the unwelcome addition of Kitty's and Lydia's purchases, were seated in it. How nicely we're crammed in, cried Lydia. I am glad I bought my bonnet, if it's only for the fun of having another bandbox. Well, now, let us be quite comfortable and snug and talk and laugh all the way home. And in the first place, let us hear what has happened to you all since you went away. Have you seen any pleasant men? Have you had any flirting? I was in great hopes that one of you would have got a husband before you came back. Jane will be quite an old maid soon, I declare. She's almost 23, 23 years old, such an old maid. Lord, how ashamed I should be if I'm not married before 23. My Aunt Phillips wants to get husbands. You can't. My Aunt Phillips wants you so to get husbands. You can't think. You can't imagine. She says Lizzie had better have taken Mr. Collins, but I do not think there would have been any fun in it. Lord, how I should like to be married before any of you. And then I would chaperone you about to all the balls. Dear me, we had such a good piece of fun the other day at Colonel Forster's. Kitty and me were to spend the day there, and Mrs. Forster promised to have a little dance in the evening. By the by, Mrs. Forster and me are such friends, and so she asked the 2 Harringtons to come. But Harriet was ill, and so Pen was forced to come by herself. And then, what do you think we did? We dressed up Chamberlain in women's clothes on purpose to pass for a lady. Only think what fun. She's so full of gossip and mischief. Not a soul knew of it but Colonel and Mrs. Forster, and Kitty and me, except my aunt, for we were forced to borrow one of her gowns, and you cannot imagine how well he looked. When Denny and Wickham and Pratt and 2 or 3 more of the men came in, they did not know him in the least. Lord, how I laughed. And that made the men suspect something. And then they soon found out what was the matter. With such kind of histories of their parties and good jokes, did Lydia, assisted by Kitty's hints and additions, endeavor to amuse her companions all the way to Longbourn. Elizabeth listened as little as she could, but there was no escaping the frequent mention of Wickham's name. Their reception at home was most kind. Mrs. Bennet rejoiced to see Jane in undiminished beauty, and more than once during dinner did Mr. Bennet say voluntarily to Elizabeth, I'm glad you came back, Lizzie. Her daddy just loves her. Their party in the dining room was large, for almost all the Lucases came to meet Maria and hear the news, and various were the subjects which occupied them. Lady Lucas was inquiring of Maria across the table after the welfare and poultry of her eldest daughter. Mrs. Bennet was doubly engaged, on one hand collecting an account of the present fashions from Jane, who sat some way below her, and on the other retailing them all to the younger Miss Lucases, and Lydia, in a voice rather louder than any other person's, was enumerating the various pleasures of the morning to anybody who would hear her. Mary, I'm currently reading along with your Lord of the Flies. That's my second Lord of the Flies tonight. I just finished The Crucible. Wow, you're getting a lot read. Thank you for making the video. They felt on the virtual year. I had no idea. I say this over and over again lately. When I started making this channel, it was for my own students to keep them reading and not give them the excuse to not read if a student was out for the day. And the only way I could make it available to my limited students at the time was to make it open to the public. And little by little, people have found me. It's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I haven't done anything to publicize it, that we have 10,000 readers. I'm so happy about that. Hello, Noah Gingras. Gingras. How do we say it? I am fine. Thank you for asking. Sorry, I kicked the table. And I don't know if you can see my Christmas lights coming on. Holly, 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 the evening is setting. The night is ending. I don't like that it gets dark so early, so I had to have my Christmas lights, because in Sweden we always have Christmas lights. But it make it too dark. I only have just a few paragraphs, so let me get that. Lama Taleb. I'm glad that I found you. Such a lifesaver. Lama Taleb, you're so sweet. I'm not a lifesaver. Maybe a grade saver. Maybe a boredom saver. I'm not sure. Fareed, they're really nice. Thank you. Thank you for my lights. I don't normally decorate. I'm pretty much a Grinch, but my granddaughter is 3. She's going to expect Omi to have a decorated house. Chelsea, so many new people tonight. I'm really happy about that, Chelsea. I love to teach, and I know from my teacher friends how hard this is. So I'm really glad this is something that's helping. It's a really simple backyard, Fareed. Thank you. I'm not very handy with growing things. I'm very handy at reading books. That's what I'm good at. Oh my gosh, hi. A lesson for dying for my American authors class. I use your a lesson for dying. That sounds like a college level class, Eli. Love that story. Unless I cry. I'm just warning you at the end, I cry. I'm like such a sucker. I get so pulled into books and I really get attached to them. And then if they're moving, if they're emotional, if it's not even sad, if it's like good human traits, you do something that's, self-sacrificing, then I'm just a sucker for the tears start to flow. Eli, high school. Well, you must be at a big high school, because I was taught in private schools and they were always small, and we just had American Lit, British Lit, World Lit, and I guess, Ancient Civilization. So good luck to you. It's a great story. I think everybody in America, especially in this time, should read it, because it really helps us have a better understanding of the history that laid the foundation for all the problems we're having systemically. And you begin to see the prejudices that are built in and the lack of opportunities and that sort of thing. All right, let me finish this because it's getting dark. Oh, Mary, said she, I wish you had gone with us, for we had such fun as we went along. Kitty and me drew up all the blinds and pretended there was nobody in the coach, and I should have gone so all the way if Kitty had not been sick. And then we got to the George. I do think we behaved very handsomely, for we treated the other 3 with the nicest cold luncheon in the world. And if you would have gone, we would have treated you too. And then when we came away, it was such fun. I thought we never should have got into the coach. I was ready to die of laughter. And then we were so merry all the way home. We talked and laughed so loud that anybody might have heard us 10 miles off. To this, Mary very gravely replied, far be it from me, my dear sister, to depreciate such pleasures. They would doubtless be congenial with the generality of female minds, but I confess they would have no charms for me. I should infinitely prefer a book. But at this answer, Lydia heard not a word. She seldom listened to anybody for more than a minute and never attended to Mary at all. So there we are with characterization again. Lydia's kind of self-absorbed, flighty, loves to tell her stories, loves to be the center of the attention. Probably a Libra or a Leo. In the afternoon, Lydia was urgent with the rest of the girls to walk to Meryton and see how everybody went on, but Elizabeth steadily opposed the scheme. It should not be said that the Miss Bennets could not be at home half a day before they were in pursuit of the officers. She's looking like she's needy. What do y'all call it? Thirsty. There was another reason, too, for her opposition. She dreaded seeing Wickham again and was resolved to avoid it as long as possible. The comfort to her of the regiment's approaching removal was indeed beyond expression. In a fortnight, who can tell me a fortnight? How long is a fortnight? It is not a video game. In a fortnight, they were to go, and once gone, she hoped there could be nothing more to plague her on his account. She had not been many hours at home before she found that the Brighton scheme, of which Lydia had given them a hint at the end, was under frequent discussion between the parents. Elizabeth saw directly that her father had not the smallest intention of yielding, but his answers were at the same time so vague and equivocal that her mother, though often disheartened, had never yet despaired of succeeding at last. Close, Freed, it's 2 weeks. Fortnight throws you, it sounds like 4, but it's 2 weeks. Yeah. Thank you for trying. 14 days. Thank you, Elizabeth. I wonder if that has any relation to the game, if there's a reason they chose fortnight, that name that's so connected with British literature, if that there's a reason that it's named that. Is 14 days, like, is it over a time period? I don't know anything about the games that you shoot people. All right, guys, the evening is setting, the calm colors. Let's just use our quiet breathing. I'm joking a little bit, but really take a moment to breathe. Take a moment to be thankful. Take a moment to understand that bad times do pass and good times do come again, that laughter is at your disposal whenever you want it, that there are lots of people in the world like Lydia and Kitty. They're all different characters, and I love how Austen builds these different Mr. Collinses and these different characters that we all can identify with and relate to. I'm going to go too, Fareed. I'm so glad you were here. I always like when you pop in. I'm going to look up the singer, and I'll talk to you about it on Discord. Thank you guys so much for being here. I enjoyed it. Eli, thank you. Enjoy your story. I really appreciate you guys. You made my evening better. Kristen, thank you. Elizabeth, you are welcome. You guys have a great evening. And remember, it's going to get better. Just keep reading. And I will read to you next time. See you.